Hello, and welcome to week 3, The Culture of Poverty. Before we get started with an introduction to this coming week, some things to wrap up on week 2. First of all, really good discussion on the Rawls material. That reading is not an easy one, and everybody seemed to pick up on some really interesting insights into Rawls' theory of social justice. For the rest of the class, you'll be asked to reflect, analyze, and integrate social justice issues with your service experience, mostly through the paper writing you're going to be doing. So my challenge for you all is to just, when you are doing your service experience, to really be aware of what social justice issues exist for the people you are serving, especially in the area that you are serving, not only the community that you're serving in, but for food justice as well. And as you become aware of those social justice issues, I encourage you to dig deeper, maybe do some research online, and just really start to become an expert on a particular social justice issue that you're becoming aware of through your service learning work. Besides social justice, this past week also focused on the common good. We did a bit of lecture and discussion on the idea of true self and the common good, looking at identifying ourselves as a authentic individual and how we as an individual relate to the communal, the common good. As we continue to go on with writing, especially this second reflective journal paper that's coming up, that will be one of the more weighted aspects of the paper. And so I really encourage you, if you haven't already read the Velasquez article that's posted on Moodle, to take a look at that. It's a rather short article. It's an easy read. And I put it up because it does a great job of breaking down the common good into principles, and also how obstacles that are faced in making the concept of the common good a reality in our society. The other thing I wanted to ask, and if you could send me an email, that'd probably be easiest, is if there's a more convenient time for everyone to actually attend the online lecture and discussion in real time. Right now it's set on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. For the first 2 lecture and discussions, no one attended. It was basically a recorded lecture and then we had remote time discussion. And I'd really like to try to get sometimes that we at least have 1 or 2 of you present in real time for the discussion, just because it'll make the recording more interesting. I think we'll all get benefit more from it if we can actually get some people there. So if you could just send me an email, let me know, like on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays for the rest of the class, what time frames work well for you that you actually could be at a computer and participate. And if I can find something where at least 2 of you can, a time when at least 2 of you can be there, then I'll reschedule that. Otherwise, it's the same time as always, unless you hear differently from me. So, week 3, the culture of poverty. Now, there are 3 goals to this week. One is that you get an understanding of cultural differences between the three social classes: lower, middle, and upper class. The second goal is that you also gain an understanding of your own cultural attitudes and beliefs, and make adjustments to those if necessary. So, for instance, many people in the discussions have talked about how no matter how much everybody likes to say that they're, not prejudiced or don't have biases and really try to be unbiased, they're still there. That's still a part of us because of our backgrounds and our preconceptions of things, and it's something that's hard to let go of. So you need to be aware, though, of what those biases and attitudes are in order to start the process of letting go of those things. And then the third goal for this chapter is to gain an understanding of different communication strategies that are typical in each of the social classes, and then how you can make adjustments to your own communication methods in order to bridge that gap between yourself and people of a different social class from what you are in. So, for instance, if you are in the middle class and you are working at a food pantry that is serving mostly people from the lower class, when you are there interacting with the clients, how do you need to adjust your communication with them to be able to better communicate with them? And then also, what do you need to be aware of as far as their communication strategies, so that it doesn't get in the way of you communicating with them. For instance, you'll be reading you should have already have read in this week's book from Payne. This is a new one here, Bridges Out of Poverty, that there are different forms of discourse and language registers, and that each of the social classes uses a different form of discourse and tends to use a different language register when talking with each other, and so just being aware of that helps you to be able to better communicate when you're working on your service sites. Let's see. So, like I said, we had this new book, Bridges Out of Poverty. You should have read chapters 1 through 4 in this book. We also read chapter 5 in Cress to get ready for this week, as well as there are 3 videos posted on Moodle that you should have viewed by now. If you haven't, please view them. They're actually relatively short. I think all 3 videos, if you just sat down and watched them, would be right around an hour of viewing time. This week we start work on our class project, which is a crowdfunding project. Hopefully by now you have taken a moment to look at the tutorial links for Indiegogo, which is the crowdfunding website that we're going to be using. If you haven't, go ahead. Those links are posted on Moodle. Take a look at those to get acquainted with what crowdfunding is and how you utilize the Indiegogo forum in order to do that. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you have created an Indiegogo account. It's a free account. We just need to have that set up because once we actually get into doing the work through Indiegogo. I'll be sending you invitations to be part of the team so you have access to that site so that we can work together on the crowdfunding. This week, for the kind of like the prep work for this crowdfunding, we need to decide on what it is exactly we're going to be raising money for. And so there are 2 separate posts this week that each of you will be making as a way of making a proposal for raising money for some project, some need that you've become aware of at your community partner. And some of you have already mentioned that you're aware of some of these needs in your post already. So, but there's a separate crowdfunding project area on Moodle, and that's where these discussions are taking place. After you've each made those 2 posts, and the details of those posts are outlined on in your syllabus, so take a look at that for details. Then as a group, as a service group, you'll be discussing the pros and cons of each proposal, and by the end of the week, as a group, you will nominate one of those proposals for our class project. You'll work together as a group in submitting this single proposal, so it's not, or single nomination. So it's not that everybody, okay, I'm going to kind of muddy things up here. So everybody is making proposals. Each of you is responsible for proposing a funding project for your community partner. But then after discussing the pros and cons, you as a group are going to decide upon one of those, and as a group you are going to submit a group project a group nomination. That nomination needs to, what you're going to do is create a pitch of some sort, like a video or a PowerPoint, or maybe it's a written narrative. You as a group can divide the work up amongst your group in preparing this nomination in any way you want. The nomination needs to hit all of the points that are outlined in the post 1, the proposal post 1 outline that's in the syllabus. That everybody's doing for their individual projects that they want to suggest, but that final group nomination that everybody decides upon, that needs to hit upon all those points as well. If that group nomination is due Saturday, July 18th. And if I've horribly confused you, please get in touch with me, email me, and I will try my best to clarify. Also, please review the rubric for the final presentation. I know it's a long way off. It's not due until week 7, but we need to, I don't want the final paper and presentation to sneak up on you. The service shots that you've been doing are preparation for this final presentation. Basically, I just want you to review this rubric so that in the back of your mind you can start to think of ways of how you want to present the photos in this final presentation. Okay, so looking ahead from here, attendance and participation. Just in general, I encourage you to all check on those, your current attendance and participation grades, and make sure that you have at least a 72% in order to qualify for that pilot course final grade no lower than a C agreement that I had. You have to have at least a 72% or better on your attendance and participation in order to qualify for that. And some of you are lagging behind on that right now. So what has improved since the first week of class is that people are making posts, and discussion is happening now, much better than in week one. Where people are losing points right now with attendance and participation is in making those posts on time. So we've definite improvement from week 1 to week 2, and so week 3, now the goal is let's get those posts in on time, and I think you'll be able to get your attendance and participation grades up for those of you who are having some problems with that. Don't forget about the discussion summaries and responses. They're at the end of each week, not only myself, but one person who is the appointed discussion summarizer for the week are to post a discussion summary. And then everybody responds to one, either mine or the other person's, or if you feel like being, responding to everybody's. But people haven't been posting the discussion summarizers of the week, have not been posting those. I have had people respond to the summary that I did for week 1. So that's good. So make sure that if you haven't responded to that in week 1 to do so. And the week 2 summarizer is Taylor. So remember to get that in. Week 4, this week you're doing the pre-reading for week 4. That is, there's several days in the Warren book. That book is separated not into chapters, but what are days. There are like 40 days. They're kind of like mini chapters. They're rather short. So there are several days that you're going to be reading in Warren. There's 1 chapter in Cress, and then 5 chapters in Loeb that you should be reading this week in preparation for week 4. And then just a heads up that reflective journal paper number 2 is due on Monday, July 20th. So that's something else that this week you should be thinking about, so that it doesn't sneak up on you. If you have plans this weekend, you might want to do some writing on that this week as well. I think that's it. You know how to get in touch with me if you have any questions. I'm happy with the progress and the improvements that have been made after what was frankly a really slow start to this class. Things are really starting to get on track, and I am really excited and have a lot of hope about the discussions that we're having right now, and this discussions that we will be having online as things continue to improve and people get more into the swing of things. So thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you soon.